Okay, this is my intro to my life, I guess, video. So, I don't really know why I'm making this video. I think it's kind of like, I guess I want people to see my life, I guess, a bit. I don't know. I've always been a little like fascinated about like what people's like lives are about. Like, I guess like, other people like on the street, like, oh, I wonder what he's going to, or I wonder what they're doing, you know? And so I guess I wanted to go into my detail of my life because I feel like I don't tell many people about my own life, and I don't know. I kind of just want to do that. All right. So I'll just introduce myself first. Then I'm Calvin, Calvin Wang, and I'm Chinese American, first generation American actually. So let's see, how should I start? I should probably start on the birth, right? So for birth, right? Okay, so I was born in New York City, in like Manhattan Hospital or something like that. A hospital in Manhattan, where my parents had me. So my parents came from like Fuzhou, like that. It's like an area in China, kind of near the south-ish, near like the water, and they were very poor back then. So like I visited before, and it's kind of like farming, fishing. Like my grandpa was a fisherman. My dad did some work as like a farmer before, and my mom went to work in some factories and stuff, as like like those assembly stuff, right? And so like kind of back when they were younger, well not that young, they were like almost I think like about 30 or so, and then they decided to come to the U.S. It's something it was like a legal immigration because they were really poor and they couldn't really afford like legal because legal immigration takes a really long time, and so they it was really must have been really scary for them, but they took like a whole adventure, bought like tickets and like fake passports stuff like that, and then they went all the way to the U.S. Kind of crazy. And then the second they landed, they got arrested. So I mean that's what they do. But they went through on court, and then kind of they were allowed to stay because of like kind of what they ended up saying, like claiming it was kind of like a like the quality of life in China was really bad, and so they had to kind of come for like a new life essentially, which is not wrong. That's well, my I think my mom said they did exaggerate a little bit because they wanted to get the visa and stuff, but yeah. So yeah, they worked there for a long time, and after a while, they decided to have me and my sister. So they had my sister first. Her name is Michelle Wang, and they had her 2 years before me, and then after that they had me. And what they did with us is that right after they had me, they sent us back to China for like 4 or 5 years, so I could kind of like live with our grandparents and stuff. And it was kind of nice because we got to see our grandparents, and it was helpful for them too because they could work and make money and stuff without like worrying having to take care of kids because childcare is expensive, man. They wanted they needed to work so they could send money back home and stuff. And it's like yeah, it's kind of why. And after that, I was in China for a while. I don't have that many memories of. I know I went to like pre-K there, but when I came back to the U.S., I started school in like kindergarten and stuff, and it's a little complicated because I was kind of like there was some. It was a lot of like school switching. So the it was a kindergarten or pre-K. I don't know. The pre-K I went to like in the U.S. was kind of like near this like area called like Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn, and so I don't remember the number anymore, but um, that school I remember being kind of like unfairly accused of something. Like I think this girl accused me of something like that, and then it was really like a brave moment because my mom went in like defended me because she was like, you said you did this and that but you never even asked him because they didn't ask me at that time. I thought it's kind of a trend. Like I feel like a lot of times they don't ask they didn't ask me what happened. It was kind of like yeah, and so she stood up for me, and I was really happy about that. And that's most of all I remember about elementary school. Like I mean not pre-K, I mean then went on to elementary school where I stopped a few times. So there were these few elementary schools near me. They weren't all that far apart. So the first one I went to was this one called what's it called? PS254. So it's like Dag Hammer School or something. And that school was okay. Like it was kind of like I was in the normal class and stuff, and they found that like they were gonna put me in the gifted and talented program, but essentially like what they told me was like the gifted and talented program was different from that school to the other school near me. So I don't know why, but back then I wanted to go to other school so I could be in that other program. I mean, at this point, I don't think it matters all that much, but that's what I wanted back then. So, and then after I did that, we just like yeah, we just I went to the other school. My mom would actually bike me there across this like blue little bridge across the bay, to go there, and it was interesting for sure because it was like that school was a lot more white compared to the first school I went to, and I was like the only Asian kid there. Point, but I think maybe there's one other Asian school like kid in like the whole school. I think it was like Japanese or something like that. But he was also like younger than me, I think. So yeah, he was like it was kind of strange, and I got bullied a good amount actually. It was like I remember there was like this girl that came up to me once and kind of like, and it was bad because I liked her at that point, and then she came up to me. She told me like, oh, it was like Chinese, Japanese, oh shit, Chinese, Japanese, something. Look at my knees. Look at these, and it was like pointing. It's I don't know, man. Kids are kind of weird, and it was like kind of like my first experience of racism, really. Well, my parents were pretty kind of racist, kind of because they're very traditional, I guess, and so especially my dad was very kind of like judgmental against like kind of other people, which is strange because he worked with like a lot of like Mexican people and stuff, but he was still kind of like racist, I guess. Yeah, but that's in the past, I guess. Yeah, and right. So after I went to that school for a while, things went pretty well, I think, except for the racism parts of it. And there was this kid. I remember his name actually still, Benjamin. Right, his name was Benjamin, and so so the thing is, since I moved in, they kind of didn't have space for me. You know how you kind of get little cubbies to put stuff in, like kind of the back of the room. They didn't have enough cubbies for me. So what they did was they put me in the cubby with like three other kids. So usually it's three kids per cubby. And so this other kid in my cubby didn't realize that I was also in the same cubby, and so he kept taking my stuff, right? And I didn't know this back then, and I was like, why is my stuff going missing? And then at the end of the year, he accused me of like taking his stuff, and then I was like, huh, that's my stuff. I put it in there, and then I mean, first of all, I don't know why he would take stuff that he knew he didn't put in there, but apparently he thought it was his because it was in his cubby. And then the teacher was kind of an asshole about it because she just gave like half my stuff to him for some reason. She was like, "You guys should just split it," but it doesn't make sense because it was mine to begin with. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened then, and yeah. And then I remember there's this thing where they did where it was like kind of like they had to trouble kids and stuff, and they put them in, like a group, and they essentially asked people like kind of like to write down a name on a slip and then put it in. And so like kind of like I don't know what it was really for. It was kind of questionable honestly, because yeah, but I had something like that, and then so I did that. For I don't know, I don't really know who put my name in there, but I'm assuming it was Benjamin because of like the stuff that happened, and I think that's probably what happened. And so I was in that group with like all the kids and stuff, and I remember back then we actually had like a there was a kind of like a square dancing type of thing where it was like kind of dancing and stuff, and it was kind of interesting because what's it called like they forced us to hold hands with girls and stuff. And this girl that I was matched with really did not like me. She really did not like me. I don't know why. I, oh man. But yeah, and it was I remember it was being really kind of upsetting to me too because of like how she was so like passive aggressive, I guess. But I guess it's all kids, so it's kind of you can't expect too much from them. And then I swapped back to the other my original middle school because my mom didn't want to take the trek. So for the middle school that was like in the to like the 254, it was a lot closer. It was like maybe like a 15-minute walk. The other school is like more like a 30-minute walk or like a 15-minute bike or something like that. So it was like a lot more of a hassle for her to come and pick me up and stuff. And so we decided to swap back to the 254, which I kind of at that time I was kind of sad about it, but now I think it's probably the right decision. I think because it was I feel like the name of the program and stuff doesn't really matter all that much. I think it was better that way. Yeah, and so we went and did that instead. And yeah, I had some friends in there. Not all that many though, because I was kind of like a little bit of outlier because a lot of them knew each other for a long time, and I didn't know them. And there was this girl Melody that ended up going to the same high school as me, so I saw her pretty often later on. But I don't know, I feel like I didn't belong very much in there, and they felt kind of sad about that actually because oh they're like this is like this game thing they did on these like things, and like I don't know, I never got to really try it. So fast forward to middle school. I'm going a little faster, I guess, because I guess this is like the details I remember off my head. So the middle school I went to was IS 234 in in Brooklyn, New York. So that one is it's kind of interesting. So it was kind of like really ghetto-ish school. It was my first choice, but there weren't that many high school middle schools near me, and I didn't get into like this specialized school called what's it called? It was called Mark Twain, right? Mark Twain, yeah. And I didn't end up getting into it. So I mean I was really close apparently, but didn't end up getting into that. So I was kind of upset about that actually, but yeah. And so this middle school was a really really interesting time for me because I had like what's it called? I had puberty. Yeah, puberty. Now my first year of middle school, I grew to like 5'9". Like it was a big. I was like what, like 5'3", 5'4", something like that before that. But one not. It was like the first half of the year. I was like growing like an inch a month. So it was like, okay, but and so I was really tall for my age. Like I was really tall for my age, and I mean I haven't grown all that much afterwards. I'm like about 6 feet now, so it's not that much growth. But since I'm like 19 right now, like I said, I mentioned how old I am right now. I'm 19. I'm in college. Back then I was really tall for my age. Yeah, and that had its benefits. Is like kind of like you get some popularity as like the tall kid. But also I had a lot of acne. I still have some acne. I kind of see it, right? But it's like my acne back then was like it was really bad because it turned green, and it was like the puberty the puberty acne and stuff. And I thought, yeah, and I had a lot of insecurities about it, like about my parents overall. And there was a lot of bullying in my middle school, and I feel like I think I contributed to like the fighting and stuff. But so around I entered middle school, there's this kid called Zane that I would argue a lot with. I don't really remember why, but I think it was because I was poor. I I had this really big like my I was really low income because I told you my parents are immigrants and stuff, and that resulted in like us being like pretty poor. Yeah, and so I'm like kind of in the hidden part of the building. I just wanted like a quiet place to kind of do my recording. I don't think there's anyone there though. Okay, so yeah, I was pretty poor, and like when a lot of middle schoolers, the thing is like they ask you like, oh, what's your phone, what's your blah blah blah, like this, what do your parents do? It's like a very judgmental type of environment. Like I think everyone's kind of been through the middle school environment. It's kind of shitty, and I think I mean, part of it is like kids don't really have morals. I think it's kind of their brains aren't developed enough. You can't really blame them. Like I think it's kind of like yeah, but it was like a lot of that, and I felt really upset because it's kind of like how back then, yeah. And I guess I'll talk to you about like my first crush I had there. Actually, no, this didn't question develop until high school, so I guess I'll leave it to later, right? So there's this friend group I met in there. Well, there were like two friend groups technically, but one of them was kind of a group of girls, and the other one's like kind of a group of guys. So group of guys got along with. It was really because we were all kind of like a little bit depressed and stuff. So it was like let me list it out. So it was Ruben, Logan. I still talk to Logan every now and then. Ruben, I don't know if he went to college or not. I think he's working right now actually. Yeah, so it's Ruben, Logan. Logan's going to college. He's in I forgot it's like a SUNY state, state of New York City college. And then there's Muhammad. He's going to Brooklyn College. There's Musa. He's also going to. He's in the Macaulay program at like I think it was Hunter College or something like that. I don't remember which one it was. And there was let's see. And then there's Zachary. I think he's also going to like a state college as a CUNY. I don't remember which one though. Yeah, but I've met up with them like a few times over like the last few years. Not that many. Sometimes they kind of cancel. And there's Ryan, right? Ryan, hockey for Ryan. Ryan. So it's actually two Ryans actually. So one Ryan was from my elementary school. He was like my best friend during that time, and honestly, he made like middle school way better. Like he was like my closest friend then. Like he didn't even call me his best friend, and that was really really sweet of him. And actually I didn't talk to him after elementary school because I don't know why I didn't. I guess I lost his contact or something, and I just never contacted him. And it really sucks, man. It really sucks. It's like it's a shame. I know, he's such a nice kid. I really should try to contact him when I have time. Because I don't know what happened to him. I really don't know what happened to him. And then there's also, let's see, so there's and then there's Ryan that's that went to the same middle school as me. He also was in the same elementary school. We just weren't as close then. So him and I, we would oh, he lived like right next to like our elementary school. It was like across the street and stuff. So yeah, so we were all kind of a group of friends. It was kind of nice because we talk a lot together, work together pretty often too. And it was, yeah, it was just really nice to have that kind of close friends, I guess. And then we did a lot of stuff together, and it was a mess. I mean, this school was a mess. And then there was also the other friend group, which is kind of a group of girls. They all went to like the same elementary school together. I don't really know how I ended up joining that group. I think I was sitting with some of them before, and yeah, I think I was just sitting with some of them before, and it was kind of complicated because like I said, I didn't really feel like I belonged. You know, sometimes like you're in the friend group, but you don't feel like you belong. Like you're not like I feel like every friend group has like its like core members. You know what I mean? Like core members, like oh, these are the people that like people care about, like people, the ones that people ask about, the ones that people notice if they're like missing or something like that. And I feel like I wasn't one of those. You know, I feel like I was kind of like I was kind of like leftovers. You know, and I feel like that's kind of really kind of hurt. And all right, and then all right, let me go. I guess yeah, I was one of like the accelerated kids in middle school, so I went through like a lot of like those accelerated class, like the regions classes, like kind of like the high school level classes and stuff, all that stuff. I guess you know, it's like your standard like oh gifted kid type of thing. But I didn't. I guess it kind of got to my head a bit that back then it was kind of like it was too annoying. Yeah, and I had really bad anger issues back then because it was like whenever people would kind of like bring up or argue with me like, or say anything racist to me, I'd get really pissed and like I'd start like fighting or something like that, and I ended up like kind of beating up like three kids and then because there's just someone walking by. I'm gonna be quiet. I think they walked past. Yeah, I think they're leaving. Yeah, I'm yeah. Finley is at 9:30 right now actually. I mean, I don't really know who's gonna be watching this. It's more for me than anything because I guess what if I forget? What if I have like what if I hit my head and I lose all my memories and stuff? Yeah. But I know back then I was really upset about just kind of like life and all. I feel like I was really depressed. I mean, I feel like a lot of kids that just say they're depressed as a kid, and you don't really know if they're depressed or not because it's like kind of like they even really know what depressed means. I don't actually if I was depressed. I was more like I was just very like hopeless about my future. I guess hopeless about how things should go. Just hopeless about a lot of things like that. Yeah, hopeless. And I guess the difficulty of that is just like it's just I was only a kid back then too, and it's kind of like I hadn't lived much, but I was still so hopeless, and I hated myself a lot. Like how I especially how I looked. I was really insecure about how I looked back then, and sometimes I still am. Well, not as much anymore, but sometimes I still am. Yeah, I thought. I mean, I think I'm like normal looking